Hi everybody and welcome to Uncle Packy's Story Time. If you end up liking this video, please click like or subscribe under the screen. Okay, let's get started. Tonight's story is King Eric in the Magical Kingdom. 10,000 years ago, there was a very prosperous kingdom and the king's name was Eric. And people would come from far and wide to attend the king's court. And he would laugh with them and have fun with them. Everyone was prosperous in the kingdom. Everyone had a job. Everybody had food. Everybody was happy. It was just a fun, happy place to be. And everybody in the entire kingdom was happy except for one man. And the people called that man Mr. Alfred. Now, Mr. Alfred was not a happy man. He was a grumpy man. He believed that something was going on, that there was a deep, dark secret, and he would find out what that issue was. And every day, after attending the court and watching all the people in the court very carefully, he would go home to his wife and he would say, I know they're up to something. I know there's some kind of secret going on, some kind of conspiracy. I know something is going on. I'm going to catch them. Well, for years, he would go to the king's court, years, and he would never see anything wrong. And he got frustrated by that because he knew there was a deep, dark secret somewhere. Well, one day, just when Mr. Alfred was leaving the court, he noticed the king went down a side hallway. And this time, nobody was with him. And this wasn't the regular way that the king exited the court. So he decided to follow the king. And he did. He followed the king down some hallways, down some steps, and he got further and further into the bowels of the castle, or the palace, whatever you want to call it. But bottom line is, they ended up in a part of the palace that was seldomly used. In fact, there were spider webs and bugs and lots of dirt. And he couldn't believe that the king was going down into this part of the palace. So he followed a bit behind the king. And finally, the king went down a hallway where there was nowhere else to go. So he waited at the end of the hallway to see what the king would do, King Eric. Well, King Eric went up to a very small door at the end of the hallway, and he looked around to see if anybody was watching, and then he went inside. There was a brief pause, and then a clang noise, and then silence. And of course, Mr. Alfred was like, what just happened? This is crazy stuff. I ain't never seen stuff like this. What's going on? I got to figure out what's happening. So he ran down to the small door, put his ear up against it, didn't hear anything. Finally, he did a little knock at the door. No answer. And finally, he very slowly opened the door, and it was pitch black dark. So he took out a match, and he looked in the room, and all he could see was this huge iron cage. And that's it. A dark room with an iron cage and no king. So he walked into the room, didn't see anything. Walked into the open cage, didn't see anything. Oh, wait. Yeah, he did see something. He saw a big red button. So Mr. Alfred started thinking to himself, oh, what's this? I found something. I gotta see what this is. Anyway, He pushed it a little bit. Nothing happened. He pushed it again. And all of a sudden, the door to the cage went slam, ching, and then the elevator went whoosh down. And the elevator, it was an elevator, not a cage, began to fall faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. And of course, Mr. Alfred is holding onto the cage and the wind is going up. Whoosh, and he just can't believe it. And it continues to drop faster and faster and faster and faster. And of course, Mr. Alfred knows he is about to die. Oh, I'm about to die. I can't take it anymore. Oh my goodness. Help me, somebody. And just when he thought he was about to die, the elevator slowed down and finally stopped. And it was pitch black darkness. Oh my goodness, where am I? What's going on? I know that king is up to something. I'm going to catch him. So he just remembered he had some matches in his pocket. So he took one out and he looked around and he could see there was a hallway going in that direction, but it was, completely dark. But when the match went out and he looked a little bit harder and his eyes adjusted a little bit better, he saw that at the very end of the hallway was a little patch of white light. Almost like a room that was very, very, very far away. And of course, between where he was now and that little patch of light was a nasty hallway made of stone with bugs and cobwebs and dirt and dust, and it was nasty. And it smelled bad, and he didn't like it. I don't like this. Yeah, this is crazy stuff. I don't like this. But I don't know how to get back up, so I guess I gotta go find the king. So he starts walking down the hallway, lighting match after match. Whoosh, looking a little bit further, and he would see things moving in the hallway. He didn't like that, but he kept going. And eventually, he started hearing voices. And he would stop and listen, and he would hear what sounded like happy voices. And that's when he knew something was going on, and he was going to catch him. So he walked right up to that patch of light and found out it was a doorway. And when he got to the doorway and looked inside, he saw it was all the king's night, and they were eating dinner and drinking. What? I cannot believe this. And he jumped into the room. I got you. You going down. You eating the taxpayers' food. I got you. I found the secret. You going down. And then he looked over that way to the left, and he saw the king. Oh, Mr. King Eric, I got you too. You gonna go down? I got the secret. Y'all up to something? Some kind of conspiracy? I know something's happening. Y'all crazy. And King Eric looked over at Mr. Alfred and said, Mr. Alfred, come over. Oh, so you gonna be nice to me now, huh? Well, let me tell you something. No matter what you do, you going down. But Mr. Alfred went ahead and walked over to King Eric. And King Eric said to Mr. Alfred, Mr. Alfred, I want to welcome you to a very secret area, and I would hope you could keep this to yourself, because this is something we do once a month. It's a special thing that we do. Oh, no, I got you now. I got the secret. I'm telling all the people and stuff, and I'm going to show my wife, and she's going to know I'm not crazy. I am not crazy. No way. Well, that's when King Eric said, Mr. Alfred, look up. So Mr. Alfred looks up. It's a dragon the size of a house. Oh my goodness, it's a dragon. What you doing, Mr. Dragon? What you doing here? Well, the dragon starts laughing in a big, booming voice. Ho, ho, ho! Hello, Mr. Alfred. I am here with my friend, Mr. King Eric. And every month we have this special dinner because I help protect the kingdom. Oh, Mr. Alfred said, oh, so the more to the secret. You helping the kingdom and stuff? And look, I guess we're feeding you too. You know how much that cost? What's going on? And at first, the dragon had kind of a sad look on his face because he was hoping that Mr. Alfred would keep the secret. And it didn't look like Mr. Alfred was going to keep the secret. So the dragon looked down, first with a bit of sadness, and then kind of a funny face. He says, Mr. Alfred, what if I told you that I knew your real name? Alfred is your first name. It is not your last name, is it? Your last name is Schmidt. Mr. Alfred could not believe his ears. What you mean? How you find out about that? Nobody in the entire kingdom knows that my real last name is Mr. Schmidt. They just call me Mr. Alfred. And the dragon looked at him and he said, Mr. Alfred, let me tell you a story. Long ago, when I was a baby dragon, it was your father, Fred Schmidt, who rescued me from the swamp. And he raised me in your house for 4 years. And when it came time for me to finally leave, I offered your father one favor. Did he take diamonds? No. Did he take money? No. So, Mr. Alfred, what do you think he took? How in the heck would I know? Do I look like some kind of dragon man to you? You must be crazy asking me a question like that. The dragon looked down and said, let me tell you, Mr. Alfred, your father was a good man. In fact, all he wished for was for the kingdom to be a happy and prosperous place. And I made that deal with him. And I went and I spoke to King Eric. I said, Mr. Eric, this was the wish of Mr. Fred Schmidt, and I am going to honor that favor because he took care of me when I was a baby dragon. And now, King Eric and I work together to make the kingdom a happy and prosperous place. Certainly you can understand that's a good thing, don't you, Mr. Schmidt? Well, Mr. Alfred couldn't believe it. What? You telling me something that's crazy? It's not true. And the dragon looked down and said, how do you think I recognized who you were? It was from your accent, Mr. Alfred, because your father had the same accent, and I knew that you were his son. And it was your father who came up with these monthly dinners for us to have so we could discuss the kingdom's business. And between King Eric and I and my magic, we could take care of the kingdom. Do you understand now? Well, yeah, I guess I understand, but, And Mr. Alfred, he didn't know what to say, but he knew it was the truth because he remembered something when he was a child that sounded similar to what the dragon was saying. And he said, well, I guess I can keep it a secret, but you got to include me in the dinner and give me the mashed potatoes and the roast beef and some of that ham there, you know. Ha, 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 said the dragon. Well, of course we will. It was your father who started these dinners. And in fact, there was one other thing I did for your father right before each monthly dinner. Do you know what it is, Mr. Alfred or Mr. Schmidt? No, I don't know. I don't know nothing. What you talking about? Well, Mr. Alfred, every month I would fly your father over the kingdom so he could see how well we were doing. And I did that every day, or every month, I'm sorry, until he passed away. And if you would like, I can do the same for you. Oh my goodness, really? You can do that for me? Oh, yes, I love to go fly. How do I do it? Each month, when you come to dinner with us, just come 1 hour early, and I will fly you around the kingdom. That was the agreement I had with your father, and that is the agreement I will have with you. Oh, my goodness, thank you, Mr. Dragon and Mr. King Eric. Oh, my goodness. And for the rest of Mr. Alfred's life, he never told the secret, not even to his wife. And every month, the dragon would take Mr. Alfred on a flight over the kingdom. And Mr. Alfred never said anything to anyone, and he died a happy man. And in fact, over the years as he got older, everybody in the kingdom noticed how much happier Mr. Alfred was, and the people in the kingdom rejoiced. And that's our story, folks. I hope you liked it. If you did, please click like or subscribe at the bottom and stay tuned to this YouTube channel because more stories are coming. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.